Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and last night's verdict was huge. We covered it live. I will put a video up here so you can know what we're referring to, but you know how it goes in this topic. I got to talk around things, and the real questions now, what happens to people like the Prince here? The Prince here has a long history with this person, and a lot of people wondering, will this have ramifications now because of the ruling? Will this ruling help the case against this prince? And well, it's a very good question. I mean, before we even get to it, it's important that we remind you, like, there is a long history between these two, specifically these two. The prince was like, oh, much closer to her than the other guy, allegedly. But now that she has been so tightly connected to J.E., this man's in a lot of deep doo-doo. And apparently, again, this is coming from the Post, so who knows, but I would not be surprised by this at all. But the Prince's lawyers are reportedly in emergency talks after this verdict and after what happened, because now they're figuring out, well, what do we do? So what are they going to do? Well, for those of you who don't know what happened, this is the person in question right here, with a young prince. Oh, and there she is in the background too. Interesting. Now, what's so interesting about this photo is Princess just try to deny this like crazy. Those are my traveling clothes. I've never seen them with a camera. It's a photo of a photo. I didn't go upstairs. All of it proved wrong because here's the photo. And then there was like question, I'm not one to hug. Well, we can't be certain that that's my hand. I mean, this guy is so caught and doing everything he can to protect himself. But the reality is, what is it? I need Steph or someone here to help me. Like, there's the London courts, or the London things that sort of the London Scottish Yard, or whatever it's called. Sorry, it's not Scotland, it's London. Whatever. But there's a hierarchy of people who have deemed that we will not talk about this case or we've investigated, but there's nothing to investigate. Case closed. But however, now there's a lot of question as to whether they need to reopen said case, given that this is now changed, given that his close friend here not looking so good, right? That's what we got. That's what's currently happening. So according to this report, and this, again, coming from the Post, New York Post, so keep that as you will, take it with a grain of salt. According to this post, which I'll read sort of carefully, Virginia, who's here, who's have a civil suit against the prince. Apparently, there was some testimony from another person during the case, known as Carolyn. Now, this woman, Carolyn, they're hoping to seize on the smoking gun testimony, which was when Carolyn spoke up about how she was introduced to J.E., implying, well, she apparently, Carolyn said that she was the one who introduced. So now they're trying to like spin it as if like, oh, well, see, she was the mastermind, not Maxie. No. And all of this is going to spin because they're desperate. They are desperate to find something to finally throw this away, because obviously, I mean, come on, dude, the dude's so clearly involved in some way. It couldn't be more obvious. Oh, how do we know that's my hand? Dude, you got egg all over your face. You look bad. It looks bad. And it's even worse that the royals have protected and not allowed a proper investigation to be held, because everyone would look bad at that point for covering this up. So this is a deep one. This is a really, really scary one for the prince and everyone around him, because people are very suspicious and suspect that this is not going to bode well for him. And so the reality is, as we go through, well, what does this actually mean for him? As we go through, and the BBC put together, I trust the BBC a lot more. BBC put together a lot of stuff, which is really important. Look, as it says here, Maxie was on trial. No one else was. That's the most important thing to bear here, as they say. So whatever happens in that case can't affect anybody else. Nobody else was on trial. Prince was not facing anything there in the U.S. There's a civil case by Virginia, but that's separate. It's a separate case altogether. Now, Sorry, it's so hard to speak in these codes. Maxie was one of his closest friends. And now with this verdict, it's not looking good that he was close friends with this person, right? That will not help him. So he says the only reason he was with Jeffy was because of his long-standing friendship with Maxie. And so all that's going to bite him in the butt, ultimately, because they're going to say, well, no, I didn't know about him. He was the problem. No, now we've determined and ruled they both were problems, right? And so that's not going to help him at any point, because he's been trying to say, well, Jeffy was just a casual acquaintance, and he was trying to downplay the involvement. It's always what he's been trying to do is, distract and push away the excuses. But the reality is, this photo doesn't look good. I have no recollection of meeting her. Sure. I never went upstairs. All the things he never said. The photo was sort of like, well, how do you explain this one, dude? And so, how's that going to do? Look, it's sort of a mixed bag. It's not helpful because his close friend now is a bad look. However, it's still going to be its own separate case here. So Scotland Yard, I was right. Scotland Yard is what I did. Metropolitan Police has so far reviewed material from the U.S. civil courts, but they've taken UK relating. It's never confirmed whether or not it was looked into. Will they have to re-look the London-related event? All TBD. So the reality is, what's happening with him? I'm sure he's squirming, which is good. He's squirming. He's trying to find anything he can. They had emergency meetings. Okay, well, what do we do? What do we do when they're going to come after us? And this one will be a very telling case. A lot of stuff is going to be up on the line for this, and a lot of people who are going to want to protect that line. And what's going to happen? Can we even talk about this? It's going to be what's really the reality, and I'm guessing we aren't. If I've managed to make this through, you'll see ads. Let's test it. Did you see one? Did you see one come through? Because if you didn't, then that's the problem here. So what you can do is you can help by hitting that join button, becoming a member of this channel to really help. Or if you can't afford that, you can at least subscribe and smash that like button, hit the bell for all alerts, leave a comment, help engagement, share this video, get it out there. And you can also donate to all your creators as we try to report this to you, because if we get your support directly, well, then we don't really care about the algorithm. We can do what we need to do. And this is important stuff that needs to be covered. On top of him, it's important that we remember there's a lot of other people who are involved. Now, a lot of people want to come after him and say, but to be fair, he's one of the only people who spoke up to the FBI to help in this matter. To be fair, he has spoken up. And if you watch the documentary on Netflix about this, even though there's a long history, especially when he said, that he wished her well. It's a real bad look now, Donnie. A real bad look now, wishing her well. Look, not a good look, but at the same time, he was one of the only people on the list that stepped up. According to the FBI, he's like, well, they came and he opened up and he showed us everything that we asked for. That can't be said about this man. And I'm going to be honest, this man has way, way too many connections. And for some reason, we're not able to talk about this ever. He is so protected, it's not even funny. I don't get it. It's shocking to me how safe they are. This is literally at Chelsea's wedding, and there she is. I mean, they're on the look at what there was alleged that they were doing a thing together, her and him. I mean, dude, this looks awful. And we're just supposed to be like, oh, they were just friends. Oh, this long history. They're just friends. They didn't. He had no clue. Even though he was on that plane, how many times? Insane. And not just him. Dude, I want to hear more about this man right here. He's denying it. He always clams up. It's like, I've answered the question. I don't know. I didn't know what it was. Meanwhile, there's a lot more to it. Why did Melinda leave him? What was the separation really about? Look, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but my God, you don't get to just be defensive and shrug off our questioning when clearly this was not a good look, sir. Not a good look in the slightest. So, look, this is far from over. There's a lot more that needs to be covered. And right now, the good news is a lot of people are squirming. Now we got to make that. We know what happened last time he was caught, right? They broke the cameras and everything. And so we got to be careful here of making sure this doesn't just go away again, because sadly that can happen. And I'm scared it's going to happen again, to be perfectly honest. This is a truly huge case that not enough people have been covering. I don't even know if I'm able to post this. I do all these reports, and it's literally I'm wasting my time because it's just goes into a trash can. And it's beyond infuriating, because this is stuff that absolutely should be covered. Nothing said here is trouble. I don't get it. I do get it, but I don't understand why we're not all infuriated by this. This is insane what's happening, that I can't talk about this openly. I'm just in shock. I hope you are too. So please support as we can, because it's not even just this topic. So many topics I can't talk to you about without, boom, sorry. You're going to wait a week until this is old news, and then we'll release it when no one cares about it. Sorry, but we're not suppressing. No. Jesus Christ. I got to laugh, otherwise I'd be crying. So thanks to everybody who supports here. You guys are incredible. Again, make sure you hit that subscribe button up there. Check out these. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Popcorn Planet. Couldn't do this without you. Here's to 2022. We're going to all kick some butt.